Hello everyone, I am Suspicious Penguin, back from the dead, and what better way to resurrect oneself than with a Fallout 4 trailer analysis. This is a trailer I'm sure loads of us have been waiting years to be announced, and it's finally here. It's been a very exciting day. So, I'm now going to give you a brief trailer analysis, which I'm sure is not going to be the only one you're going to find on the internet, but you know what? My thoughts need to be heard, goddammit! So sit back, relax, and hopefully I'm going to show you some things that perhaps you missed. And if not, you can point out some things that you have caught that I've missed. And it's very, very exciting, and I cannot wait for this game and its announcement in a few weeks. So sometime yesterday, we had the official Bethesda tease on their website with a 24-hour long countdown, which led to this fantastic trailer, which is, I think, more than any of us thought we would get. Given Skyrim's release in 2011 with that stupid minute-long teaser showing the wall. No, here we have 3 minutes of what looks like in-game footage, and it's very exciting and incredible. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on these 3 minutes, hopefully pick up some things that you may have missed through my analysis, and just let you know generally how bloody excited I am for this game coming out, hopefully soon. So let's dive right in, shall we? So right off the bat, we have some very fond and familiar sights from the TV, the Please Stand By section, and this wonderful music, which rings very similar to Fallout 3.
It's all over, but the cry.
With the world poised on the brink of war.
So we get a lot of these flashbacks back to a pre-war world throughout the trailer, which I think are rather interesting, and I'll tell you why later on in the trailer as we see more.
Vault-Tec is reporting a record number.
So here I guess we're getting just generally a peek at what hopefully the new engine made for Fallout 4 is. Fallout 3's engine is of course rather old, and for those who don't know, Skyrim was more or less a rehash of Fallout 3's engine, which worked fine, but given the state of current gen consoles and PC gaming, it's probably time that they did develop a new engine, and it's likely what they've been working on the last 5 years or so. So this is hopefully what we're seeing in action, and it does look incredible. This is where the trailer really starts to pick up, and we see the dog hearing something and running toward it. And it does make you wonder, perhaps, we know by the end of the trailer that he's heading towards the player. So this is very, very speculative, but does this hint at perhaps dog control, dog mechanics? Can you call your dog after sending him to explore an area and then whistle him back to see what he found?
My God.
So again, we're seeing more of these pre-war flashbacks, and they look very detailed and very in-game. And it does make me wonder, perhaps, is this how the game is going to open? Are we going to experience the end of the world through one of our ancestors' eyes, and then emerge back into it, generations later as one of their descendants, perhaps? It's just a thought, but these pre-war flashbacks are incredibly detailed and a lot of fun.
Our soldiers were right.
There's our first glimpse of some current-gen power armor in action there. It's very exciting. Now, here we see a vault, of course. So this makes it seem very likely that we're going to have a very similar opening and beginning to Fallout 3, perhaps being raised in a vault and, emerging into the outside world. And this small section, incredibly emphasizes that idea, with your character climbing out into the bright sun from the vault doors, which looks incredible. This is simply awesome. Looks like what looks like bloody airships, and it looks very steampunk, very cool. And is this a city, or is this going to be flying around? Is this a mode of fast travel? We don't know. Are we going to see these actually in action? But either way, these look so cool and so incredible. So very briefly, this moves us on to a very interesting part of the trailer, with just a glimpse of the inside of some city, and just looking around, you can see this city is pretty dense and detailed, like way more than anything we've seen in Skyrim or Fallout 3. I mean, if you look around, just like the buildings are quite high and quite tall, and it looks very well, exactly that, dense and compact, and it just looks great. To the left, we see what looks like some kind of club, and also, if you can tell, it is raining. It is raining in this, which is well, kind of exciting because in Fallout 3 there wasn't really any weather outside of mods. So it's quite cool to see, I don't know, just that diversity in weather in the next Fallout. But even more exciting, if I just go back here to my favourite scene, this character in the middle, if you look very closely at his right hand, it is a cybernetic hand. It is not a real hand. So this is pretty cool and something I did not notice the first time. So what does this hint? Is this a cyborg? Is this just some ability, or not ability, but is this just a reality that we will see in the game that some people will be cyborgs? Can you be a cyborg and have robot parts? Or is this an android? And because we know that the game is set in Boston, we know in Boston the Institute is present, and the Institute is, well, infamous for its android programs, at least in the Fallout world. So is this an android city, a kind of safe haven for androids? It raises a lot of exciting questions, which I'm very keen to see answered. Some beautiful shots of what I hope will be the player just exploring the wasteland, meeting these kind of things on the way. But if we stop here briefly at 1:45, if you see this awesome new design of the robots in Fallout 4, but look in the background of that incredible city. That is a very tall city. It's bigger than anything we've seen in Skyrim or Fallout, I think. Now, of course, this could just be a kind of backdrop or wall, but knowing Bethesda, that does not seem likely. I would not be surprised if we get to explore that city at some point, and it just looks incredible. It looks huge. Again, a small glimpse here of what looks like a Rivet City-esque city, I suppose. There are some kind of structures on the top which suggest it's inhabited. But it's a huge submarine just lying on the coast, so very atmospheric, I suppose, and what looks like a small little Mirelurk crawling along here, again giving us a glimpse of just some of the creatures we'll hope to see in the wasteland. Another very cool glimpse of the game we get to see in this trailer is this small little, just glance at a Deathclaw looking as terrifying as ever. But more interestingly, if you just look at the background, it's a lot more wasted and desolate than other places we've seen in the trailer. There's no blue sky, there's no real vegetation, everything looks like even more dead than the rest of the trailer and the rest of the world. So Fallout 3 was a pretty, its terrain was not very diverse. It was all very grey and brown. So perhaps this suggests a bit more diversity in the terrain. Will there be areas which have been actually hit by nukes and are going to be just dead for miles, and are they going to be more inhabited and more full of life, areas that are more full of life in the game? So I like to think that this suggests a bit more diversity in the terrain. Well, let me just stop it here as well. Just some quick glance at, of course, the VTOL, I think. So, I mean, I always love these things anyway, but is this the Enclave coming back, or are these things just generally in use? Is this a scripted event, or is this just, again, something that's going to happen randomly for your exploration throughout the waste? More questions I hope to see answered. Ooh, quickly stopping here as well. The ghouls, these look absolutely terrifying. They look a lot more zombie-like, and as you can see in the background, there are loads of them. But if we just play it for the 2 seconds that it is, you can see how just well they interact with the objects around them. Look at the carts, as they move out of the way. I know this is a pretty boring thing to recognize, but for anyone that played Fallout 3, the physics in Fallout 3 were hysterical. Like, if you kicked a cart, it would take off to the moon. So this just looks like a very more realistic physics engine, which is just awesome and exciting by itself. Oh, stopping again. This is getting very jarry. Okay, here we have what looks like a similar place to the Citadel in Fallout 3. Well, a similar structure at the very least. But we can see it looks very much like it's going a baseball field. Like you can see the little statue there. So this has perhaps been, colonized and inhabited by some faction. We do see an insignia on the gate there that doesn't look very recognizable from any Fallout lore in the past. So perhaps this is a new group, or these are perhaps just a group of bandits that have taken over the area. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Oh, another great part. Sorry, which I'm just going to stop at. Just a great look at the small city. All these different characters. The character animations look amazing from the small glimpses that we see. We've got people just looking a lot more natural and relaxed than they did in Fallout 4, and even in Skyrim. There's always that weird kind of mechanical, robotic, way that people have about them in Bethesda games, and these look a lot more natural. I mean, from the 2-second glimpse that we have at it from a distance away, but still, I'm very hopeful. Another exciting place I want to stop. I am terrible at Boston history, but I'm sure this is probably some famous historical landmark that I am not getting. But this looks like an area that doesn't seem to be very inhabited. This looks like just a kind of wasted city, perhaps full of enemies. But as you probably have noticed, in the sky there is an enormous airship, which is very exciting because these things are actually moving. Now, this could be a simple scripted event, because we do see a small helicopter followed by after it. But it would be very cool if just when exploring the waste, you see these things flying overhead. This gives a whole new level of just stuff going on, that things are moving around in the sky of a Bethesda world. Now, again, this is very speculative. We'll see if we actually see things like that. But it would be very cool to see the airship that we saw earlier actually in motion across the skies when you're just exploring the wastes. So, very exciting stuff. Okay, just stopping it here quickly. This looks like the spot where you're going to leave the vault and enter the outside world. As we saw that glimpse from earlier on of your character pushing open the door into the wastes. This looks very similar to that spot. So this is a very brief glance that we have, but this could very well be the starting area. So you look out and you see this very small town down there, the wastes around. And of course we have our little canine companion in the right here. So this could mean nothing, but perhaps this is where we meet our lovely canine friend, and maybe he ends up being a permanent companion throughout the game. We'll see. Okay, bear with me, I'm going to stop it again, sorry. But I found this very cool with some exciting prospects. So, just this glance that we have here, there's a lot of things going on in the background. So obviously, in the middle we have very cool power armor just hanging from the ceiling. On the left we have some weapons with a minigun under a blanket. On the right we've just got some more miscellaneous things. But this does have me wondering, is this perhaps a player home where you hang up your armor, you store your weapons, and put all your, just spread out all your junk all over the floor like I did. But also on the left, if you look at the weapons rack itself, we see a pretty cool looking laser rifle, but we see a lot of parts just like scattered around on it. Now again, this probably could just be for aesthetics sake, but does this hint at a more robust weapons mod system coming back, where you can take weapons apart, add new bits on, scopes and extra magazines and stuff like we saw in New Vegas and in mods in Fallout 3, which ended up being very popular and successful. So I'd be very unsurprised if they made a big return in some way.
Let's go, pal.
Oh, such a great part. But anyway, just very briefly, obviously we can see here that the Pip-Boy has come back, and there's our guy is holding a pretty cool-looking new weapon, as we can see. But obviously, more importantly, oh my god, he talks. Yeah, I know he talks, right? That's Now again, this probably isn't very interesting in and of itself. This is a trailer after all. But does this perhaps hint at the idea that our characters will actually be speaking dialogue instead of just selecting text, from a screen and speaking through that medium? No, so will our guys actually be able to properly speak to NPCs? We don't know. Very, very speculative at this point. But oh my goodness, what an amazing trailer and what a very exciting day it has been. Those are my basically initial thoughts and analysis on this trailer. Let me know if you think I missed anything out, or if you think I was being way too speculative on some points. Let me know also how excited you are for this game. We know more about it on the 14th of June at E3. I'm going to try and keep you guys up to date as much as I can. In the meantime, I will see you guys on the next Suspicious Penguin. Take care.